Hello, everybody. Uh, Welcome to the Bootcamp Coders second Dev Talk. Today we have André Vega, who is going to give us the talk about coding the Josephus Problem. We also have the company of Mariana Gonzalez, which is going to be part of the staff right now. Andre, if you can introduce yourself to the to everybody that is watching us.
Of course. My name is André Vega. Today I'm going to be presenting the Josephus problem. I was assigned to solve this problem, which is a coding challenge. And the purpose of my presentation here is to provide an explanation of how I solved this problem, how I tackled the solution. And as we all know, in coding, there are many ways to solve any problem. And there are also many ways to get to that solution. So this is just going to be one of them. I hope it helps you. I hope you can maybe integrate it to the way that you solve future problems. And just to give a little bit of presentation about myself, right now I'm studying full stack web development at the Tecnológico Monterrey Coding Bootcamp. Before the bootcamp, I was learning in Udemy by my own self-learning, front-end web development. I'm really passionate for problem solving, and I'm in love with coding challenges. I've been solving challenges since before the bootcamp started in Code Wars, and it has been, oh, sorry about that. And it's a really good practice for me. I really like the logical challenges, and I think it's a really good way to practice any language. In my case, JavaScript, and in general to improve the problem solving mindset. So
Excellent,
okay,
Andre. So we are going to let you present your problem, and we are out. Thank you.
okay. So going to the challenge, the Josephus problem. It goes like this. About 2,000 years ago, there was some war, and during one of its battle, defendants were blocked by attackers in the cave. Only 10 were left, and to avoid capture, they decided to stand in a circle and kill each third until one person remains, who was supposed to commit suicide, though he eventually preferred to surrender to enemies. So he survived. And the object is to determine the position of a person who remains last, i.e., the safe position, for given number of people n and constant step k. So to put it in simpler words, what we need to find is, okay, the problem is this. We have a set number of people or positions, in this case 10, that we put around in a circle, and we're giving a constant step k. This value means that, for example, we start on the circle. The first person that would start on the circle would be position 1. Then the next person to the right would be at position 2, and the next person to the right, position 3. That would be our step k. So that position would be eliminated. That person in this example would be killed. And then we continue to next position 4, next position 5, and position 6 is eliminated, and so on and so on. So, okay. My first advice here to tackle any coding challenge or any problems regarding making, for example, an algorithm to solve any issue or any specific task is to first of all understand correctly what is the challenge, what is the problem, and what are you trying to get. For example, in this case, we know that we want to get the position that it's going to be saved. So in this case, in which number of position would I need to be standing? So after all rounds, I am alive, I am safe, and I'm the only one safe. And there you can solve the issue. I would recommend for you to find a way that you can understand the problem practically. For example, in my case, I really like stories. For example, the story of this challenge. I think it's better for me to understand and to view it from a more practical way. So yes, like I said, you need to define well the problem in your mind. And then what I like to do is to proceed to create pseudocode. In my case, for me, pseudocode is like the number of steps or the steps that you're going to take to solve a problem. But okay, a problem, and you're thinking in code. You're thinking that you're going to make an algorithm, a function that is going to solve this. But right now, you're not writing any code. You're just imagining the steps. We can put it like this too. Imagine that there is a machine that creates code, that writes the code for you, but you need to give the machine a specific instructions so the machine knows what code to write. So, okay, in order for you to understand these steps, you need to write a story, a coding story. So first of all, what I like to do is, well, take the example, take the problem. In this case, we have some information. What can we do with that information? So, like I said, in this specific example, we have 10 positions and 3 steps. So again, we're thinking in code, we're thinking about what we're going to tell this machine. So then we can write our algorithm. So first of all, what do we do with our 10 positions? Well, we can put them in an array. Simple, an array that will go position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until the last position, in this case, 10. And what do we need to do next? We need to, well, eliminate the first number. We know that we need to take 3 steps. So in this case, we know that it's 3. So in this moment, our next step would be to eliminate this element from our array. And okay, do we have something? Do we have a method in JavaScript, the language that I'm going to use to solve this problem? And the answer is that we do. We do have a method called the splice that will help us to eliminate the position that we want. In any case, if you don't know about a specific method to solve this issue, you can use Google. I really advise to think, okay, I want to do this. At this specific step, I want to eliminate an element from an array. So I go into Google and see if there is like a direct solution, or maybe if there are different methods that I can use to reach the solution. My advice just would be to be specific from what you Google, and don't Google just the answer. So, okay, we have splice. A splice needs 2 values. The first value is the index of the element of the array that we're going to eliminate. So in this case, it would be 2. And we need to tell it how many values are we going to eliminate. 1. And in all cases, we're going to eliminate just 1 because we go 1 by 1. Okay, so we eliminate it with splice. And what do we have now? Okay, now we have this array without the 3. And now the next number that we're going to eliminate is 6. So again, what can we do? We can use a splice. Now it's a new index. Now it's an index 4. And so on, until we finish. And we only have 1 element in our array, and that is the safe position. That is the number that we want to get. Okay, so again, now we have a way to solve the issue manually, let's say. So what I advise and what I did is to write down the solution by hand, by pen on paper. So I have it here, but my handwriting is the worst. So don't worry, I have it also here on Visual Studio Code. So what I did was write each of the arrays. For example, in the first round, we have the 10 elements, and we eliminated 3. And then we eliminate 6, then the 9, and so on, until we have 4. And also I noted here some key values. For example, we can see that the length of the array, it's getting smaller 1 by 1. We can see here the index that are being eliminated and the position that is eliminated. Now, what I like to do here, now that I have like all the indexes that are going to be eliminated, is I try to look for a pattern between the numbers. And a good way to find it is to draw a table. In this case, I have my table here, but so you can read it. I have it also in Excel. So again, we can see here that we start on array length number 10. The first index is 2, and the position eliminated is 3. So first of all, I would think, okay, how can we get the first index? We know that we have a number of positions, which is 10, and we also know that steps taken for each position, which is 3. So if we look at the first index eliminated, we can see that it's 2. And in this case, the 2, we can get it if we take the number, the step. So our index would be the step minus 1. Also, minus 1, we can deduce this because on each array on JavaScript, as you know, the first index is not 1, it's 0. So our first index would be 0, then 1, then 2. So that's why we are subtracting one value of the steps. And okay, so we have 3 minus 1, we have 2, we eliminate position 3. And okay, the next one, then we have index 4. And if we look below, we have index 6. So here we can see a pattern. We can see that, for example, it's going to keep adding on the previous index eliminated the value 2. Again, the step 3 minus 1. So, okay, what we can deduce then is that this index can be calculated by having the previous index. We're going to say j plus k minus 1. And it's the same here. Sorry, just here. And okay. But if we continue, then we're going to see this, that, for example, in this case, it does not longer apply. But why does it not apply? Well, because our array length is 7, and the index that we want to eliminate is 8. And as you know, the maximum, in an array length of 7, the maximum index is 6, because we start on 0. So we cannot eliminate something that is an index 7 or more. But as we know, this is a circle. So whenever you finish with the numbers of the array, you start again. So let's say that index 7 would be index 0 now, and index 8 would be index 1, and so on, so on. So we can deduce that to get this number, whenever the array length is smaller than the index eliminated, we just take our formula, which would give us 8, and we subtract the 7. So we have 1. So here we have a condition. Okay, we can continue. And again, this is another example where we would have a 5, but there is no index 5. So 5 minus 5, and we have 0. And we can apply it to all of the other index eliminated until we get the position 4, which is our answer. And so you can see it better. We can put it like this. So we start with a starting position with the 0. We add the k minus 1. So we have 2. And then so on. And just on the positions that the array length is going to be smaller, we're going to put a condition in here to subtract the index from the array length. So, okay, now we have a way to solve it. Now we have, let's say, a pseudocode, a way that we can imagine the path that it's going to take to solve it. So now let's go ahead and write the code. And just some important things is, like I said, the formula that we have, and also the conditioning. One important thing here is that, okay, the number k does not have any limitation, nor does the number n. What I mean with this is that k can be any number, and any infinite number, right? And the n too. There is no rule that it's saying that, for example, n is going to be bigger than k. So in some cases, we could have an example that it's n equals 5 and k equals 15. So we're going to have a bigger step always taken, and also it's going to take more than one route to go around the circle until to reach the next step. So in this conditioning, we're not just writing an if, we're writing a while, because we want to tell the number that is being calculated while it's bigger. The index than the array, just keep subtracting it until we get a number that is smaller than array length. Sorry if this is confusing. Don't worry, we will see it again in just a minute. So, okay. Now that we have our pseudocode, we can go ahead and write the function. So we have the function Josephus survivor. We're given the parameter n and the parameter k. Okay. So first of all, we need to create the array. It's an array that starts with 1 and finishes with the number n. So we can just make a for loop that starts with number 1, that it's going to reach until it is the number n, in this case k, and it's going to have 1 by 1. So, sorry, I just need to start a positions array, which is going to be an empty array. And here we're going to add the positions. So we just add positions array, that push, and we add the values. We can even console log our positions array just to be sure. And here we have it. Okay. So now we have the array. Now we need to, well, tell which elements to be eliminated. So like I said, we first need to start with our starting position, which would be 0. So we make this let. We're going to change this value. That's why it's a let variable. And we're going to make a while loop. Why a while loop? Because we know that our problem is solved when our array is only on one value. So what can we do is put our positions array that length bigger than 1. So it's going to stop when it reaches 1. Okay. So we then proceed to add the value that we set. Remember that we said that we're going to add the value k and subtract 1. Okay. So there we have our index. But remember that we have conditioning. We're going to say that our index that it's being eliminated cannot be bigger, or if it's the case that it's bigger or equal than our positions array, we're just going to tell it, okay, take our index element, the index that we're going to eliminate, and subtract the positions. Sorry, it's not positions that array, it's positions array that length. Subtract it until this is no longer valid. Okay, so now we have our conditioning and we have the correct index that it's going to be eliminated. So in this case, we just take our array and we're going to splice our index and we're going to eliminate one value. We are always eliminating one value, so that's a constant. So, okay. I think that that should work. Let's see if it's working. Okay, I think I made a mistake. Just give me 1 second. Okay, don't worry. Also, I have the solution here. I wanted to make the live coding, but I'm just going to check if I have what is the mistake. I must be making maybe some typo or something. So okay, just so I don't take more time of these, I'm just going to copy it. Like I said, it's the same, just I may have missed some letter or something. So, okay. And if we go and see the solution, Let me just close this. An issue that you can encounter with the while loops is that you can be stuck in a loop that never ends if it's not reading correctly. And okay, there you have it. There is the answer. We have an array that only has one value, and it's 4. And if we want, we can put any other value. For example, we can put an 11 and 19. I don't know, we can save it. And we're going to have the value. There is also this calculator here where we can check if our answers are correct. So 10 and 10. And the starting example, for example, 10 and 4. Okay. And just to say something, usually what I'm trying to show is a way that you can analyze a problem, that you can like see all the information that you have, state all the resources that you have, so you can tackle and resolve the issue. And what I'm trying to show is if you take the time to analyze, to see what you have, to see everything that you have, you will save a lot of time of trial and error, of trying something until it works. So again, mistakes happen. You saw that here was a mistake, but if you plan it, you can avoid a lot of time working on trial and error until you get something, or on working a solution that at the end it's not going to really work. So okay, thank you.
Amazing explanation, Andre. Well, I think that the issue with the previously was that because you have the live server running, I guess that you made some changes before in the while, and then the code, the live server restarted the web page, and then it got stuck maybe in a while loop, and then it froze or it stopped working the tab. So the next time that you try to run it, it didn't work because it was still running the previous code. So well, that because when you open the new tab, it actually works. So I guess that was the reason.
Yeah.
Actually, well, sorry about that. Before you start, I didn't present Mariana, which was the previous
Sorry.
presenter that will showcase an Amazon coding interview challenge. So, well, Andre, it was amazing to watch you solve and tackle and solve the problem. What will you consider will be the hardest part for you in this kind of coding challenges?
Mm, I think the hardest part is to be patient, because many times, and for me, for example, many times I want to find quick solutions, like to think, okay, I got it. I'm just going to do a while and if, and it's solved. For example, in this case, I thought this was going to be solved. I was going to solve it quicker. So I went and started working on a solution that was not considering, for example, that the array each time it's smaller. So I was working in a solution, and I wasted a lot of time for something that it wasn't even applying to this problem. So I think the biggest challenge is to be patient, to say, okay, stop worrying about finding a solution now, work on understanding the problem.
Amazing. Mariana, do you have any question for Andre?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andre. What is your passion about coding? I mean, what do you feel? What was your journey to be a programmer?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, before I went into coding, I was on business. I was studying economy. Then I had a business that at the end didn't work, and I don't know. I had this crisis in my life that the career that I chose was not the one for me. So I started looking for another one, and I always knew that I like technology. I liked math. I really like I don't know, the logical problem solving. So, and I had this friend, it's a childhood friend that is a web developer. So I just went with him and asked him about the career. And I don't know, I started thinking, okay, this sounds like something that I can do, that I can enjoy, that matches my skills. I think it's important to be honest with what you like, what are you dispuesto a hacer. Sorry, yes, that you are willing to do. What things
Willing
are
to
you
do.
willing to do that you may not like in any given career? And yes, what are your skills, and not like know yourself.
Amazing,
I,
Andre. We have one question from the people who is watching us. I'm going to show it right now. So Abimael Monares asked, could you explain the difference between a for and a while loop?
of course. Okay, the for loop. Okay, well let's start with the while loop. A while loop, it's like an if. It's a condition that you're putting for example, this block of code, everything inside the while, it's going to be executed one again and again, 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 until this condition is no longer met. So again, we know that we don't know how many rounds it's going to take in this case, for example, to reach the final position. So, but we know that when we only have one position, one element in the array, we know that we're finished, that we have the answer. So in this case, a while loop helps us because we need what condition is going to be met until we need the code to stop working. And an I loop, you are putting a specific boundary limit. In this case, for example, we're saying, okay, go one by one. So start with this number, then give it one more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until your I number is um, is no longer uh, with this condition. Is no longer smaller or equal than n.
Okay, great, Andre. One trick question for the people who are looking or who are watching this. Is there a way that you can make a for work as a while? This is
Yes,
something that we can talk about in the next session, but there's a way that you can make a for work as a while. So
of
it's
course.
well, it's something that, or if you have some idea right now,
Uh,
Andre.
well, in this case, you could even not use a while because, for example, you know how in the end you can calculate that, for example, how many rounds you are going to do. So mm, I haven't thought it like deeper regarding the difference, but I think that at the end it may be the same thing, but you're writing it differently because a while loop is do this until you meet this condition, and also the for loop is okay, do this until you reach this number. So I think maybe it's the same thing. And for example, in this case, I think you can solve it with only four for loops.
Okay, so I have another question, Andre. You mentioned that you are starting with. It's not that you are a beginner because you have proven uh, all this experience in coding in JavaScript. But my question is that you are well. The thing is that recently started working with code and things like that, right? So
Mhm.
what recommendation or what words of help could you say for people who is also looking to start into coding or programming? Do you have some recommendations, some tips, something that you can advise?
Mm. Well, first of all, be patient. For example, at the start, I wasn't into coding, and it took a lot of time for me to say, okay, I think I like what I'm learning. I'm receiving more, I don't know, satisfaction from what I'm learning, that all the stress from all the, yes, the frustrations of not knowing, for example. So we're talking here about languages. And I think it's not just a way to refer to something from code. It's a language because it's really hard to understand, but once you have like a grasp of the basics, it becomes easier and easier. So if your decision is to start learning code, go ahead. Just be patient. I think you won't see many results until I don't know, 100 hours of studying and trying to understand. And also, I would advise that start with something simple. I think it's really motivated. If, for example, if you start with only HTML and CSS and you are good at it, and so you can reach upon that. Okay, I have this tool. I'm good at it. Now I'm going to proceed to something else, because then again you will feel dumb and you will feel that you know nothing. Another recommendation would be that to master something until you go to the next step, so you can be again patient and wait for the results.
Yeah, that's something that uh, really good that you mentioned about the feeling that you don't know what you're doing. This is like I forgot the name in English, but this is kind of like the montaña rusa, where
Mhm.
you feel like you have mastered everything. Then you go down because you have some trouble or problem, and then you forgot simpler things like how to do a for loop, or well, not exactly a for loop, but you forgot or get confused by simple things, and then you go like, I hate this programming, I hate coding, and then you finally solve your issue or your problem, and it's like, oh, I feel amazing.
and I'm the
And then
master
you
of the
go
world.
up down, yeah, right. So well, I have another question right out of my mind. Uh, what was the hardest challenge that you have found in coding? What was the like? It can be like a situation. It can be a problem, a coding challenge. What was the hardest part, or what was the hardest thing that you have encountered while coding?
Mm, okay. I don't know if it's the hardest, and I think I have many examples of when I felt like really lost. But one example that comes to my mind is when I started learning backend. When we started with backend, it was like I was saying, it was almost like starting to learn code again, to feel this frustration that I was like receiving a lot of information, but not like grasping the just the information. So yes, I think that's one of it. Something more specific, the promises. Like, I don't know, it took a lot of time for me to understand correctly how to work around a promise. But if it's one example, I think that's it. When I started to learn backend.
Okay, so you will consider yourself a front end, back end, full stack. What do you prefer?
Um, right now, being more honest, I think I can say that I have basics of backend, and on front end I have more resources. I think I'm capable of doing more things, and I think it's easier for me because of, I don't know, I think visual things work better for me. So I would consider me a front end developer or entry level with basics of backend.
Okay, let me think, because I had another question in my mind right now, but it got out of my
Well,
tongue.
while you think about that, just going for example for uh, the previous question about advices for programming. One thing I can say, and it's a cliche, but I think it applies really good to this career specifically, is be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because there will be, I think, the again, another cliche. This is one that it's not about finishing first, it's about finishing the race. Because there will be some concepts that are going to be really easy for you to learn, and there are going to be some concepts that are really, really hard to learn. So I think the results are, you're going to see them as much as you are again willing to be in a position that it's uncomfortable, where you don't know, where you're frustrated, where you're confused, where you may know something but you don't really know, and it's going to, I think you're going to be most of the time more in that state, especially when you're learning, than in the state of, okay, I know what to do. So yes, again, your ability to be willing to endure those moments will be a really, really powerful ally in coding.
Amazing. Well, to add more about this, what you mentioned, Mariana is having trouble, but she is asking, what will be your next step or goal as a programmer? What will be the next, what you're looking for?
Well, right now I'm working on getting my first job at coding. The bootcamp finishes on May, so I'm doing my best. I'm preparing my best so I can land land the job as soon as possible.
Okay,
So
yeah, amazing. So is if someone who is watching this has an open position or an open role, Andre is eager to start working in coding. So I think that we are finishing right now. Well, there are no more questions. Mariana and I have asked everything that we have in our mind. Not sure, Andre, if you want to add something else to this open mic.
um, I don't know. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It was a really, really good exercise. Um, thank you very much, Eduardo, and thank you very much, Mariana, for being here. It's good to feel that I'm not like alone in this with you too. So thank you
Yeah,
very
the
much
coding
for.
community is well, even that sometimes it can be a little bit toxic. It's an amazing community, and all you can have like a lot of support from the community. We have one comment right here, so I'm going to show it. So from Dino, thank you so much for the tips. Right now, I'm in the same boat in changing career paths, and all your experiences are really helping so much. I'll definitely follow your advice. So one
Thank you
word
very
that
much,
you want
Dino.
to say to Dino?
And thank you very much for your words. I really, really appreciate that. And I'm really glad if some of what I could share help you. So yes, but I really, really appreciate your words, Dinora. Thank you very much.
Okay. So I think that's everything for today's session. I hope that this is not the last time that we see you, Andre, participating here in the Bootcamp Coders. I hope that you enjoyed this opportunity, this time with us, with Mariana. Also, Mariana, thank you for being here. Sorry to hear that you had some troubles with your PC or your computer. But anyway, it was amazing to have you guys here. Hope this is not the last time that we have you, Andre, and it will be great if you have some talk about promises. So because
Okay.
remember that one way to learn is to explain or to teach. So if you want a better understanding of something, they suggest that you teach someone the topic that you are having trouble. But well, until the next time, thank you, Andre. Thank you, Mariana, and have a great night. Bye bye.
Thank you, you too.